Hey, what's up, you money makers? Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'll be talking about a couple of different things. The first thing is I'll talk about CASTOR Maritime. There was a great announcement that just was announced by the company today. They took the delivery of couple of vessels that they bought in Q1 2021. So we'll talk about that. We'll also talk about some of the impact that we started seeing, given that the stimulus checks are started getting to be sent out and people will start getting more and more stimulus checks. We'll also talk about AMC, some of the great news in general. We'll discuss how the stimulus check can impact the economy, how the vaccine can impact the economy as the business starts opening, what we should see in terms of business and in terms of stock market. So we'll talk about all those things, but we can start with CASTOR Maritime. Now, this is only for entertainment and educational purposes. I'm not a financial advisor, so do your own due diligence and research. CASTOR Maritime is a penny stock, and we have seen that stock rising up from 20-30 cents all the way up to $1 and I want to say 95 cents, and the stock got back when there were red days in the market. Today the market was mixed pretty much. As you can see, Dow Jones was down 234 points, S&P was down, or almost it was flat, whereas the Nasdaq was up 100 points. So it was pretty big mixed kind of a market, but we are seeing light at the end of the tunnel, as we can say, because the stimulus checks have started coming in for people, or it will come in very soon. We have started seeing some of the financial institutions are showing and sharing the data that they start getting more investment, so we'll review that as well. Now, first of all, let's talk about CASTOR Maritime. So CASTOR Maritime announced that they took the deliveries of MV Magic Orion and MV Magic Argo. This is a great thing, because every single time the company takes the deliveries of their vessels, that means it's more revenue for company, more profitability for company. The CASTOR Maritime Inc. CTRM is super aggressive, acquiring more and more vessels, buying more and more dry bulk vessels, getting the deliveries, and it will add up into their bottom line in terms of their revenue, in terms of their profitability. As we have been talking about, it's a pretty penny stock. $1 price point is pretty needed for CASTOR Maritime in order to regain the compliance. However, there's a psychological barrier that the stock is unable to cross and stay above $1 level, so which is a bit tricky for CASTOR Maritime as to when it will sustain above $1 level. We saw that the stock was above $1 level before in February, earlier in February 9th through February 25th. The stock was over and above $1 level. It was closed, but we do not have the official confirmation either from Nasdaq or from CASTOR Maritime that the stock has regained the compliance. So staying above $1 for CASTOR Maritime is super important. But as I mentioned, the volume is on the lower side, but it's an organic volume that I was able to see. It was not algorithmic volume. There was no impact of short selling, something along those lines. This is also, CASTOR Maritime is also called kind of a meme stock, highly talked into social media and other platforms. So the company getting the deliveries of these vessels are very important. They took the deliveries on March 18th. That means more money. Let's take a look at how much more revenue the company is going to earn based on their announcement under a time charter contract on and around March 20th, 2021. A daily gross charter rate of 21,000 is expected term of about 35 days. For Argo, the expected commence employment under time charter contract, the daily gross charter rate of $25,100 is expected. So the company is going to add more revenue, which is one of the great things. And the company has positive revenue. The company is relatively new, 2016, which is when the company was formed. And as you can see, Q3 revenue 2.79 million, Q2 revenue was 2.59 million. Given the pandemic, these are great numbers. In Q1, the revenue was 2.73 million. In Q4 last year, they had $2.84 million in revenue. The company's net income was positive in Q4 2019, and in Q1, Q2, and Q3 their income was negative, but the company has enough cash because of the capital that they have raised in 2020 and 2021. So the company has bought all these vessels by cash. I wanted to say that, so they do not have really any kind of debt, and both the acquisition right here were made and financed with their entirety liquidity with cash on hand. So which is a great thing, that the company will not have to pay any sort of interest or the debt on these vessels. So it is going to be a pure revenue, and whatever the profit the company makes after the operational overheads, it's going to be added into the bottom line, the numbers for the company and CTRM in general. So if you're thinking about what the revenue could be, so we are expecting pretty good revenue compared to Q4 and Q1 that the company is going to announce. Compared to that revenue year over year for the same time period, we should expect more revenue in Q2, because the company's CEO is pretty bullish about the post-pandemic situation, or as to when the vaccine is going to be widely available, the business is going to get started even more. Looking into further the general news that I have been seeing, and based on my research and analysis, the investor right here, there is a great article, investor poured record $56.8 billion US dollars into the stock market funds as stimulus checks arrived. What that means is Goldman Sachs also mentioned that payments may be making their way into the mutual funds and ETFs that will help overall stock market and the economy, because investors like you and me, people have, if you have more cash or some sort of spare cash, you'll be definitely likely to invest more into the stock market or maybe in cryptocurrency. We have started seeing some of the Dogecoin types of cryptocurrencies spiking up. Bitcoin is at their highest level of 60,000 US dollars. Let's take a look about what this article has to say. Stock market investors pour record amount of money in US equity, mutual funds and exchange rate funds. And Dow Jones in S&P touched the record high. Bank of America their research division on Friday said that they saw the equity inflows hit weekly record of $56.76 billion, week ending March 17, sharply up from $16.83 billion earlier this week. That does seem clearly that the stimulus money is making a great impact into the investment. Does it make any movement based on when the money comes in into the stock market? I do believe historically what we have seen, whenever there were stimulus checks, the market went higher and higher. Now looking at this, March 17th closed above $33,000 for the first time, which was the Dow Jones, and S&P 500 finished at all-time high as well. Now, so these are some of the great signs. Meanwhile, Goldman Sachs estimated the net flows into the global equity funds nominal record of $68 billion in the week ended March 17, which when scaled at a level of mutual fund equity assets. So all in all, we have started seeing that the stimulus money will get their ways into the stock market and mutual funds and or ETF. Through March 17, the Treasury had distributed $242 billion in stimulus checks, or around 60% of expected total. So we'll see more money coming in as well for 40 more percent as to when those checks or maybe the ACH will be distributed to the beneficiaries. Now this is a great thing for stock market, for crypto, and for investments in general. In addition, we started seeing that the businesses are opening up more and more. AMC theaters, they already declared that they will have 98% of their US locations open beginning March 19th, the Friday, and they're expecting before the end of March they will have close to 99% of all its location going to be opened and available. The company had to experience some severe loss due to the pandemic, due to the lockdown, and due to the locations that they had to shut down for 1 year. So let's take a look at the CASTOR Maritime. Going back to CASTOR Maritime in general, the stock's volume has been lower than the average volume, but looking at the chart, and once again, CASTOR Maritime is a penny stock. It's a meme stock. It's a highly talked stock in social media. There were some restriction by Robinhood earlier, as we have seen in 2021, due to some of the short sell. There is no short sell that I'm able to find the numbers, at least based on the numbers that I looked into today. Looking at this, the RSI looks pretty promising, pretty stable. RSI 54, not an over but not an oversold condition. MACD looks pretty good as well. This is for 5 days. The MACD, the blue is about the orange line above the signal, looks pretty promising. I'm not saying that will spike the stock up. What I'm trying to say is the technical looks good. It also depends upon what the investor thinks about buying. Again, penny stocks are risky. We have seen this stock rise from 30 cents to $1.95. In my opinion, many people, if you follow my channel, we have been talking about this particular stock for a long time. Many people might have bought it above $1 level, but if you watch this channel, we have been talking about this stock for a long time. Now, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would highly recommend you subscribe to my channel. Also click on the like button so this video can reach to more and more people. Subscription helps you to just get a look and feel about the stock, what I'm searching. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm like you, an average person on internet, sharing some of my analysis and data and my own conviction and on my own thinking. And I do watch other people's video as well to learn more. As an example, about cryptocurrency, about other stocks, about large cap stocks, about investment strategy. So I think it's a good thing to learn and adapt. Everyone has their different goals and different things that they want to do with their investments. But I do recommend to subscribe to this channel. Click on the like button. It's all helpful. Now let's take a look at 1 month chart. I just wanted to quickly look into 1 month chart before we end. At that point, I do believe that the MACD is slightly below the orange line, and that is a bit of a concern. What CTRM needs is to close above $1 level, because it's a very psychological level for CTRM. It has a hard time crossing that level, which is very important. Before June 20th, the company will have to regain Nasdaq's compliance. Otherwise, it is at the risk of getting delisted from Nasdaq. Staying on Nasdaq is healthy for the company, so we will see what happens in future. But $1 is definitely a psychological level for CTRM. The company has been acquiring more and more vessels, getting more and more deliveries. Long term, the company does look promising in terms of revenue, in terms of profitability. The company may raise more capital. They do have all the paperwork filed with SEC. I'm not saying it's going to dilute shares just yet, but I'm just saying that this is a cash burning business. The way it works is the company gets more capital raised, and they buy more vessels, so on and so forth, and that's how their business runs up. But the MACD looks pretty okay for 1 month. It doesn't look so promising, but it can get back better. But for 5 days, the MACD looks pretty good. The RSI looks pretty good as well. If the stock can go above this $1.05, 4 cents level, and which is a pretty big resistance, and stay above that level, there is a high possibility that the stock can go to $1.26 level, and that is going to be pretty important for CASTOR Maritime. I thank you for watching this video. Thanks for your support. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks, guys.